So, good morning, everybody. I'm Tori Jessup. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the Department of Information Technology. And I know we've got folks that are still coming online, but we want to be mindful and respectful of everybody's time. It's 10:01, 10:02 now. And we want to get started with the NCDIT Town Hall for local government. And I'm just going to kick us off here today. We've got a few things that we want to cover with you. And of course, as we share information, we always want to be able to hear from you too. So think of this not just as a one-way communication, but a two-way communication. Yeah, the other thing I'd like to say with regards to that is that we've gotten great feedback from the local government community about this town hall and the opportunity that it presents. And of course, we plan to continue to provide this opportunity to share information and to hear from you. What I'd like to say is that we'd love to hear if there are topics, if there are things that you would like to learn more about from the Department of Information Technology. And many of you may know Felina Harris, who is our liaison with local government, with our business relationship management team. And she's doing a fine job. She's rather new to the organization, but she is a great point of contact for sharing what you might want to know about our organization and how we might be helpful to you as a local government official or administrator. So I'll stop right there, but welcome to the local government town hall for NCDIT. We'll be talking to you today about a few things. Rates is one of those things. And oh, there we go. So we'll reflect on, some of the conversations that we've had, provide, as you see here on the agenda, a financial year-end debrief, a discussion about rates and subscription rates and service rates, which we'll start billing soon, and then the look ahead. And then, of course, like we said, we want to hear from you as well. So I won't delay any further. Well, you know what? I will ask my colleague, Susan, you have anything to add? No? Okay. So with no further delay, let's get into the conversation about our local government reflections.
That's me. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Tori. As Tori stated, several of you may know me, many of you may know me. I came from local government for many, many, many years. And now, of course, I am here with the state, and we will use my local government experience to help us with our relationship. As you can see here on the slide, we're looking at some of the engagement improvements throughout the year. And it was so good to see so many of you at the NCDIT conference. And not only did I see you all, but you all gave me valuable input there. And also asked a lot of questions, which I was happy about, and I was happy to answer any that I could, and even engaging when I came back to the office, being able to engage as well. One of the other things that we started back in April, I wasn't here, but one of the other things that was started back in April was the town hall series. One was in April, one was in September, and I'm happy to say this is our third one. And we've tried to build upon each one of these town hall series. And we even added a survey for this last one, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a minute. But we also added a dedicated liaison, me. So I'm glad to be here, glad to be able to interact with everyone more and in different ways. And the survey, speaking of the survey that I spoke of a minute ago, we ask you all, what ways did you want to engage with the state? And as you can see from the graph here, email was the number one way you wanted to communicate, newsletters, town halls, which looks like we hit that spot on with these town halls, regional meetings, the internet, and also a BRM, which of course, again, is me. And as you can see in the photo, that's Srini at the NCDIT conference, gathering information and speaking to many of you all. Let's go to the next slide. So we'll look here, we'll talk about service requests and incidents. Typically, we define service requests as you looking for something new that you don't have, and incidents or things that you have and may have an issue with. As you can see, monthly, we're averaging about 100 to 200 service requests and about 500 to 600 incidents. Ideally, it'd be great if those two could flip. We didn't have so many incidents, but we have more service requests, which would mean that you all are learning more about what we have and what we can provide, and we're interacting more and communicating with each other. I'll just give you a second to look at this slide, looking at the trend with the service requests.
It's really wonderful to start to look at some of this information across the whole collection of local government groups. It does start to give us some really great insights and help us understand what a good month feels like and what a tricky month feels like. And your feedback has been really helpful to help continue to give us some direction on insights and ways to support the segment. So it's been very, very helpful. Thank you all.
And next slide, is that my slide too, I believe? Yes, so we're looking at some of the actively used services with local governments. As you can see, cellular services, local access lines, structured cabling, on down to WAN and MS365. Also on the right-hand side, you see we have a link where you can see the different services for yourself. You can click on each one if you go to that link. And then looking at the support trends, I'll let Jamie speak to the support trends as far as the billing questions. We're, of course, getting those billing questions, but we're hopefully filtering those out and getting your answers that you need. Hopefully, we're working on that. If not, please let me know. Let's communicate back and forth to make sure we're giving you what you need. Jamie, you have anything else to add for this slide?
I will add that those ticket counts on the prior slide, the service requests and incidents, these are the services that that those tickets are kind of talking to us about, whether it's assistance with a cellular line or structured cabling, and even some of our WAN services. So we tried to focus some of the subsequent rate update information on these highly utilized services, and then of course you can look more of the whole portfolio. And then, of course, those ticket trends also are reflecting the billing questions that we do get, and we want to continue to answer, especially as some of the new information starts to come out on the upcoming invoices. So definitely continue to engage with us on the service portal and directly as well.
Next slide, I think is DP.
Hi, the year-end rates update summary. So budget became law, as most of you know, that October the 3rd, and still waiting on the formal certification for DIT. And rate approval from OSU was approved on November the 14th for fiscal year 24, which we're going to talk about in a minute. The new service rates and subscription to be billed in December 15th invoice. What that means is that the new rate for fiscal year 24 plus the adjustments of the 4 months you will see in the December bill. So on the 15th, when we produce the new bill, which you will be able to start seeing it on December the 16th, will include the prorated charges for July 1 through October end, plus the new rates for November in December bill. And the second part of the billing will be the subscription billing, which will be the whole fiscal year 24 approved billing divided by 7 months. Because we did not bill the subscription since July 1 till October, still include all the way till end of the year divided by 7. And the mass email via NetPlus will be there. And also when you go in there, you'll see the pop-up notification for the billing. So that is actually the billing summary update. And we can talk about the detail in the next slide, please. The costs are involved monthly. The cost components involved include the subscription charge and the service charge. The subscription, the base charge to the customer who use NCDIT as a service provider. This charge is to cover the customer's prorated share of NCDIT operating expenditures. The second part is the service rate. The cost associated with using services provided by NCDIT, which customers may have mainframe, Microsoft storage, etc. So those are the two parts of the service rates. I'm not sure we're taking the questions now or at the end of that the presentation.
I think we're making great time. If anyone has questions, feel free to put them in the chat or raise your hand or ask a question. Definitely, we want to continue to have a two-way conversation. These aren't easy topics, so feel free to ask any questions you have. I'm not seeing any in the chat stream just yet, though, but I'll let you know if any pop up.
All right, next slide, please.
Hi, do we have everyone able to see all of the slides? I did just see something in the chat pop up that some are only seeing the agenda slide. I do see them advancing on my side.
So right now you should be seeing rates impact overview.
Right.
If you are not seeing that, could you raise your hand or indicate otherwise so we know how big an issue that is?
Let me stop sharing the screen and then I'll resume it. Maybe that'll
Okay,
fix
looks
the
like-
issue.
Yeah, Tony, thank you, Tony, for raising that. Chances are good if you've got that going on, the others do.
Okay, so we should be back at the rate impact overview slide. And we're currently on slide number 9.
Okay.
Okay.
Can everybody see the rates impact overview slide?
And I think April also said there might be some arrows at the bottom of your screen to help you advance through if it's not moving for you. So you can try that as well. We're probably good to go.
We are good to go. Okay, well, I will take over from DP, and in DP, I will definitely pull you back in if there are any questions that come in from the overall finance perspective. My name is Jenny Oliver. I'm the Director of Business Operations, and I also have on with me from my team, Milton McCoy, who is over the service rate and development and so forth. So many of you may have met with him in previous sessions or one-offs. And so now we just want to talk through the overview of what our current 23, 20 through 25 rates are. So what I'm showing here on the slide is a dollar impact by service. If you see down the left side here, we have many of the services that we offer and seeing just the impact of those from a dollar perspective year over year. Some of those services went down, some have remained flat, and some have increased just based on the sheer volume of activity that we have or new contracts that we have that have come forward with our vendor partners. The ones that we have highlighted in red here are the ones we're going to go through on the next slide, just to show you a few of the changes that may impact most of you the most. They are certainly not all inclusive of everything that you all take from us or buy from us. So we just want to give you just a few little ones. And as we mentioned earlier, Felina is your source of contact for any of the questions that you may have when that bill comes out on December 15th next week. All right, we can go to that next slide. So for our FY23-24 service rates, DP did mention earlier that you will be billed based on your actual consumption, and that billing will come out next week. You will get an adjustment from the first 4 months of the year, and then the new rates will be applied for the through the remaining months of the year. So that first bill will look a little high. However, it will even out when you start to get that December or that January invoice. Your rate sheet, we are still currently finalizing that. Once we get that finalized and published, we will send out an email with the link. So look for that from Felina and or Jamie. So that should be coming out by the end of this week. And so you should be able to see that full rate sheet by then. So here's some of the services that we talked about last in the last slide that are some of the ones that we feel are the more impactful ones for your organizations. The first few we can see either have decreased or stayed the same. So our cellular services, our point-to-point for telecom and circuits, and our WAN for that last mile provider transport services have either decreased or stayed flat over the year, from year over year. Ones that have increased, however, are local telephone services. So anything that we have that's non-managed, but you're purchasing through us with those vendor contracts that we have, that will go up a little bit in the next year. It's about a 4% increase here. So it's going from 16 to 20%. We are working with our vendors to try to come up with ways that we can either keep this flat or possibly find some economies of scale going forward. So hopefully we'll see that not increase as much in the future. But if it does, we will definitely provide you with that information ahead of time. Our next two services are pretty much all of us use them, Office 365. We have a basic and a premium option. That basic option is about 94 cents per license on top of what you're paying for the license itself. So that went up about a penny from last year. And then that premium services, which gives you the access to Power BI, went up about 29 cents from $1 to $1.29. And that is our cost on top of what that license is costing you. Another one, we have tons of WAN services, but we thought the one that would resonate the most with you, or some of you maybe, is that 2G service. Many of you may have either 5G or a lower connective service, but that one did have a significant increase of about $700 over last year's rate. And the reason for that is that we did have an infrastructure refresh that came through, is coming through last year and is also going to continue into this year. So our rates are a little bit higher there. So that is the gist of some of our examples of our rate. So if you have any questions there, I'll take a look at the chat to see if there's anything that is in there for right now. I don't see anything currently. Susan and or Milton, if you want to chime in here. Oh. We will,
and actually, I was going to ask you a question, just some clarifying questions if I was looking at this. So when we say the rate went from 2% to 1% for cellular service, that's percent over what the actual cell bill is, correct?
Correct. So you would still pay that monthly cellular charge and then a 1% on top of what that bill is. So that is the markup. Yes.
All right. So which ones are markup and which ones are not markup? So the ones that are percent are markup, correct?
Correct. That is correct.
So the first four would be your markups.
And I'll go ahead and mention at this point, these are the changes for the service rate. The subscription amount is that other component on the invoice. And Felina and I are able to provide that to you all as well, individually, because it's not a standard rate. It's applicable per agency, but we have that detail as well. If you would like that information prior to the invoice, we're able to share that with y'all.
Okay. And with that, I will turn it back over to Felina and Jamie.
Well, it's interesting. I didn't realize we would actually get into some of what's on the horizon as we were going through those services. But every time I see the information, I'm learning new reflections, but we thank you again for the feedback. We're going to continue these town halls. We're enjoying them. We're going to start emailing you. So I hope that is a way you want to kind of start connecting with us as well. But we wanted to go ahead and let you know we're tentatively targeting March 7th for the first quarter town hall. And as we were talking with you, or looking at some of the survey responses that we got, one of the top things things that you wanted to talk more about is just the different services we have available. And I know that you all are largely using some of the telephone services. So we're going to spend some time giving you a little bit more of a broad look into the portfolio of services we have. So you do have some more awareness of what's available. And we're also going to go through a tour of our contract vehicles. So because those are also very beneficial and very helpful for the agency. So we want to make sure you know of all the good opportunities and solution options that can be leveraged through the contract vehicles. And that brings to one of my favorite topics is cost savings. There were a few folks that mentioned wanting to learn about some ways to save some money and how you use some of the DIT services. It's an art, but there are some ways that you can look at your service spend, and we can kind of assess some things to see if there's any opportunities to save service, whether it might be in WAN connectivity or cellular use. That cellular service, our biggest spend across the state. And that's reflected at the local government level too. It is where our biggest collective spend is in cellular service. And we do have some tricks up our sleeve to do some things to try to squeeze any excess out of that. So we'd love to partner and talk some about those things in the next town hall. And the last topic was cybersecurity. We're going to try to get Tori back in and share some information with us on cybersecurity in the first quarter. But we would continue to tailor these sessions so that they are meeting your needs and answering some of the questions that you'd like to learn about. So please keep the feedback coming. And is there anything that we can provide information on while we're here together? We did want to leave a good amount of time for discussion and collaboration if there were some things that we could talk about here while we were together. I see a great question in the chat stream. And it'll give me a chance to brag about some other new gems on the team. We have just brought 2 new BRMs on this week that are joining our seasoned BRMs. And what we do have is the BRMs support cabinet and council of state agencies with direct relationships. And then what we have at the local government level is Felina, who is supporting this group as a collection. But we do have actually some BRM engagement for really large boards and commissions. So it really is related to how many services that the customer agency uses. We want to make sure that that we're spreading that BRM support across the customers that we have. So not every council, estate, and cabinet agency does have a assigned BRM, and Felina is your gem. And I'm here as well. I definitely want you to think of me as a BRM as well. And I'm here for support and assistance.
And Jamie, there is a question in the chat. Who is eligible for services, and is there a service catalog including prices and descriptions of what is included in each service? For example, what does one get for the additional O365 services?
Yeah, I will actually take over, Kelly, if that's okay. Although Kelly can drive this area as well, he is very familiar with, this is our service where we publish information about the service portfolio. And again, we kind of talked about some of the rates and information that are pertinent to those telephone services that are really heavily used by the local government level. And each of the services, so I'll go back to Microsoft 365 since that was one of the ones that was asked about. Everything, and I'll make it a little bit bigger. I know it's kind of small. Each of the services is really pretty well defined with a list of the features and benefits and what capabilities that you get with the service. And if there are 2 different levels, that's explained pretty well as also in these description pages. I'll scroll down to the bottom. There's a section also that lists the cost, and this is where you'll be able to jump over to get to the rate sheet where the service rate information will be published here towards the end of the week for these new rates that'll come on the invoice on the 15th. So this is where I kind of suggest going for each of the services to find out what is part of the service and value add that DIT delivers with the services. And let me know if that answers your question. And if anybody wants to add more to that, please do. And the additional O365 service, that premium line item that Janine described, it does include it's the full G5 license. So if you look at what is afforded to a user with the G5 license, that would give you a good, a very clear understanding of what you would get with the license through DIT. And then our managed service is described on that page. So that's a little bit of a tour here this month. I didn't know that we would get into that, but that was a great question, and it kind of does give you a little bit of a sneak peek into the portfolio tour. And eligible for services. That was part of the question as well. And I will actually ask some friends to make sure I'm answering this question precisely right. I do believe the local government customer base is able to use our services if they'd like to. Some of the council and cabinet agencies, they have a little bit different type of eligibility, but at the local level, as I understand it, you all can use our services if it meets your needs, but you also have options to use services off the contracts and then also explore things on your own as well. But I'll let anybody add to that, but I did want to address the eligibility question.
Yeah, not a lot to add to that, Jamie, but you're right, you hit on it. The local government can also use the state term contracts that are available through the statewide IT procurement office. One of those contracts, supplemental staffing contract. I've gotten some feedback from some local governments that they were not aware of that that being available to them. And what it allows you to do is, for IT staffing needs that you might need quickly, there's a contract out there that's managed by CAI to help you meet your IT supplemental staffing needs. But there are other contracts like the 920S, 204X. 920S is also somewhat of a supplemental staffing for consulting services, and 204X is primarily for infrastructure. We're in the process of updating some of our cybersecurity related state term contracts for endpoint protection, as well as cybersecurity related assessments. So the list does go on, and we're constantly trying to update those to meet the needs of our state agencies as well as local government. So take a look at those as well.
We do have a great question in from Randy Kress via Felina. His audio is not working right today, but he wanted to ask if we're seeing significant price increases in services that locals should be looking to move away from. It definitely is. I'll tell you that the local telephony services, that's why we want to talk some with y'all about that in first quarter. A few of the attendees said that they are already starting to see that service get more expensive because the support for those legacy services is getting deprecated by the vendors. So it is a price that in cost area that we know is a concern that we want to continue to collaborate on and try to understand what options we can provide as those legacy services get more expensive. But I'll ask Janine or Milton, would y'all reflect on any services in particular that that from your perspective are a significant increase, or talk to any of those?
I think you had one that was really good there, and because that was one of the ones we highlighted, the local telephone. I don't know that there are any additional ones off the top of my head, but definitely take a look at the rate sheet when it comes out. And if there are any questions there, we can certainly follow back up with you individually to determine that.
I couldn't think of another one myself. I didn't want to put you
Yeah.
on the spot, but that was the easy one I could think of.
Yeah, the weigh-in service, we highlighted that one a little bit just based on the fact that we need additional infrastructure. So that infrastructure refresh that's going to come in this month, this fiscal year. So that'll be an increase this time as well. So, and that's across the board, any WAN connectivity that we have.
Staffing services link on our website. We'll get that shared back with you, John. It might take us a minute or so to find it on the website, but we'll definitely get to get the link posted to you.
And Jamie, question is the rates are effective January or?
They actually will become they're effective at the beginning of the fiscal year, and that's why some of the adjustments and credits will be processed in this upcoming invoice cycle to kind of correct from the fact that we've been using the prior year rates so far. And I don't know if you want to clarify any of that, DP. I tried not to mangle it.
No, you did great. Yeah, actually, as Jamie said, the rates are effective July 1, runs all the way until June the 30th. The rates which you are getting billed now since July 1 and till October are the service rates based on the last year rates. So in this bill, which you're going to see in December, will include the new rate for November plus the adjustments for the July 1 through October bill. Whatever was billed before versus the new rates are variance in that will be adjusted in this particular bill. In January going forward, which you'll get the December bill for, that will pick up the regular bill with the new rates. And subscription bills were not billed since July 1 till October. So in November, for November's bill in December, that will include the total 12 months bill divided by 7. So it will even out for 7 months for the whole 12 months bill.
And so to answer April's question specifically, I think you will see an increase, whether it's significant or not. I think that it's all relative. I would probably say, yeah, you're going to see something that looks larger in the upcoming bill because the subscription component will start to be billed. But on the other side of the cost equation, it depends on if you're using a service that had a rate service increase or a rate service decrease, whether you notice a change or that's an increase or a decrease on the service rate side. And so that we tried to show the excerpt of a few. Some are going to go up, some are going to go down, but the full rate sheet will be published by end of week.
We had a question from Ted Norris. I think Kelly was going to enable his audio.
Okay.
Hey guys, this is Ted Norris from Onslow County. I appreciate you guys doing this. And I just wanted to, I feel like I never would have known this if I didn't work for county government. And this might just be Onslow County government. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure you guys had this info. You know, when Onslow County ITS is doing their budget, we're expected really to know what is in our budget by the end of January. So like for us doing 24-25 budget, we're really kind of needing to have everything together like almost like now. You know, even though the budget doesn't get approved, you know, until later, you know, next year. So it's really helpful, I think, for you guys, you know, making these changes to understand, you know, what we're dealing with, you know, and, you know, like I said, it seems kind of wacky that we would have to have it already in place this early. But anyway, when you're thinking about making these changes, please keep that in mind.
Hey, Ted, so thank you for that feedback. And we have heard that before. Randy Kress was asking a question earlier as part of the Nickel Jesus board. And we've had a number of conversations with that board. And one of the things that they shared with us and we appreciate is about timing. And you know, while we're all state and local government supposed to be on the same budget schedule, unfortunately, you know, local government gets there quite often faster than state government does. The budget this year, unfortunately, did not get passed until, was it October? I think is what, and so, you know, then we have to scramble to get all of this together to start the billing. And, you know, our commitment, my commitment is as quickly as we can, we start to share this information with you about what the service and subscription rates will be as passed in the budget. You know, while we do have to submit this information as a proposal at the beginning of each year to the Office of State Budget Management and Fiscal Research Division, we don't know what the final outcome is going to be. So it's a bit challenging to try to make sure that we get, you know, perfect alignment. And that will only occur if you know the state budget is passed in advance of the new fiscal year. But our commitment is to work as quickly as possible to share information with you, and you know, to get better at being at communicating. So that's really, you know, how we got here with doing these town halls, so that we can hear what you just shared with us, and to also share information about what our processes are, so that we can improve them. Really, I mean, hearing from you helps us to improve. So I appreciate that.
Our state agencies struggle with some of the same things, so we're absolutely committed. We're clawing our way at, you know, earlier in the cycle as much as we can, because we know it will help everybody be more prepared. So great feedback. We appreciate it.
I don't see any other hands.
Um,
But
Yeah,
oh, go ahead,
I was gonna say
Susan.
April has a question in the chat.
Oh, I've kind of responded to that one verbally, kind of validating that likely you will see that an increase, because the subscription component will start to show up on the invoices in the next cycle. But depending on what services you use, that service rate component could go down or it could go up. But then you do kind of mention that you use the WAN services, and that was one of the ones we pulled out. And it does have an increase to the service rate component. But again, we have to really kind of look at which WAN service you used. We admittedly pulled out just one line item that's a 2G WAN connection, because there are so many options within the WAN service. We just grabbed one.
Yeah, there's
for
about
the
40
slideshow.
WAN services. So, but that would, again, Felina can help you with that.
We do have specific information. And so I encourage you to reach out to Felina. I'm going to be helping to provide any information that you all need to be prepared as this invoice cycle starts up. So good questions.
I don't see any other questions or hands. A couple of things I wanted to say, and I'll let Jamie or Tori, whoever wants to wrap up at the end. I have been receiving several actually personal texts, emails, and messages asking if we're going to record this. Yes, it is being recorded and it will be available for you all to see. Several people couldn't make it today. And one of the other things that I did, I reached out to several CIOs, and we're starting a group to where we'll actually do another level of communication. We talked about it earlier about the little regional groups and things like that. I shouldn't say little, but we will be meeting other than the town hall. We'll have other meetings as well. And as Jamie stated, you can reach out to me and I can give you all your individual information. We will not be posting the whole group, but we'll post we'll provide you with individual information. So you do have me and Jamie as a resource if you need anything. On the screen, you see the presenter information for DP Janine and I. Free again to reach out to any of us for any questions that you may have based on what we discussed on today.
And I'm gonna pop our service portal URL in the chat as well, just because the service portal is near and dear to my heart. So you can reach both Felina and I and many other people through our service portal and some of those tickets. So I wanted to make sure that was out there as well. If there isn't any other topics that you all would like to explore, we can give you some time back today and say thank you very much for the collaboration and for the guidance as we close out this year and kick off a really exciting 2024. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.